Robert Redford could have said his final lines, walked off the stage like any legend would. But he didn't. What he did instead shocked the world, changed the way people remember him, and made history in a way no one saw coming. Robert Redford's career spanned over 6 decades, filled with unforgettable roles and moments that defined Hollywood. He was known not only for his talent but for his quiet strength and ability to make powerful choices both on and off screen. As his final role approached, fans waited for the perfect farewell, expecting the familiar charm and eloquence that he had given for decades. Throughout his career, Redford had always been someone who believed actions spoke louder than words. He rarely sought the spotlight unnecessarily and often let his performances communicate what words could not. This philosophy guided him throughout his life, shaping how he approached the end of his career. He knew that the final lines he would speak could become a defining moment. Yet, Redford decided that the true statement would not come from dialogue but from an act that was entirely his own. The project that marked his final appearance was already historic. It brought together generations of actors, directors, and crew who admired him not just for his skill but for his integrity. Everyone expected Redford to deliver a classic, memorable monologue, something that would be replayed in headlines and tributes. But as the cameras rolled, he paused. He looked around, assessed the moment, and quietly made a decision that would astonish everyone present. What he did instead of speaking those lines was not rehearsed. It was not written on paper. It was purely spontaneous, a reflection of his personality and his understanding of what truly matters in cinema. Redford's choice reminded everyone that sometimes, leaving a lasting legacy isn't about words, it's about timing, presence, and the courage to break expectations. When the moment finally aired, the world reacted instantly. Social media exploded with reactions ranging from disbelief to admiration. Critics debated what it meant for the history of film and storytelling. Fans felt deeply connected, realizing they were witnessing not just the end of a career but a statement about life, choices, and authenticity. Redford had once again demonstrated his mastery, not through dialogue, but through action. Some actors might have relied on grand speeches or melodramatic exits, but Redford chose silence and simplicity. In those few seconds, he conveyed more than any line of dialogue could. The subtle movements, the glance, the decision to step away from the script, it all created a moment that would be studied and remembered for decades. Redford's final act also reflected his understanding of legacy. He wanted his work to inspire, not to overwhelm. By refusing the final lines, he shifted attention from himself to the story, to the emotions of the moment, and to the audience who had followed him faithfully. This selflessness made the act even more remarkable. He reminded the world that greatness often lies in restraint, in choosing what not to do as much as what to do. Directors who had worked with Redford described the experience as surreal. They had known him as a consummate professional, someone who always respected the craft. Yet even they were unprepared for the quiet power of his decision. It became clear that this final choice was not about rebellion, but about making the story live beyond the expected norms. In interviews after the event, Redford explained his reasoning with humility. He said he wanted people to focus on the emotions and the relationships, rather than his final words. This statement was classic Redford, measured, thoughtful, and entirely genuine. He had mastered the art of storytelling not only through his performances but through his life choices. The impact of this moment went beyond the film industry. Scholars, critics, and fans all over the world analyzed what had happened. Many concluded that Redford's decision illustrated a deeper truth about fame and legacy. It was a reminder that sometimes the most powerful messages are not shouted, but quietly understood. Redford's final performance also sparked a conversation about artistry. People debated whether refusing the scripted lines was courageous or controversial. Some felt it was the perfect demonstration of integrity, while others questioned the break from tradition. Regardless of opinion, one thing was clear: the act left an indelible mark. Every frame, every pause, every unspoken gesture carried weight. Redford had turned a single scene into a timeless statement about authenticity and human connection. It was proof that great actors don't just play roles, they shape history. The lessons from Redford's decision extend beyond film. In everyday life, we often face moments where we must choose between following expectations or trusting our instincts. Redford's example encourages boldness, authenticity, and the understanding that history remembers those who act with intention, even if it defies convention. The moment Robert Redford refused his final lines became more than just a Hollywood story. It became a lesson in courage, timing, and the power of presence. It was proof that the greatest impact often comes not from words, but from the choices we make in crucial moments. Fans, critics, and even fellow actors struggled to put into words what they had witnessed. It was rare, almost unimaginable, for someone of his stature to break from tradition and yet make it feel so natural. Redford's choice shocked everyone because it went against every expectation. In Hollywood, final lines are often scripted, polished, and dramatic. They are meant to linger in the audience's memory. Yet Redford realized that the emotion behind the story mattered more than any line. By refusing the dialogue, he shifted focus from himself to the story, allowing the audience to experience a genuine, unfiltered moment. In interviews, Redford shared that he had considered the impact of this decision for years. He understood that his final performance would be scrutinized by millions. He could have delivered lines that critics would quote endlessly, but he wanted something different. He wanted authenticity. He wanted the audience to feel, not just listen. It was a decision rooted in wisdom, patience, and a deep respect for the craft. The response was immediate and widespread. Fans flooded social media with admiration, calling it a masterstroke of artistry and a moment that will live forever. Journalists wrote articles analyzing the significance, dissecting every subtle movement, every glance, every silence. Film schools began to discuss the scene as a study in restraint and presence, teaching students that sometimes less is infinitely more. Redford's act also inspired fellow actors. Many admitted they had never seen anything like it. In a world where performers often rely on grand gestures and memorable lines to cement their legacy, Redford reminded everyone that true power comes from understanding the moment and trusting yourself. It was not just about acting, it was about life, choices, and courage. The decision also highlighted Redford's long-standing commitment to authenticity. Throughout his career, he had chosen roles that challenged norms, addressed social issues, and brought depth to storytelling. He had never been one to follow trends or chase awards. This final act was the culmination of decades of integrity and self-awareness, showing the world what it means to remain true to yourself even at the highest level of fame. Some critics initially questioned the decision, asking whether it was a gimmick or an unnecessary break from tradition. Yet even they had to admit that the power of the moment was undeniable. The silence, the choice to step away from the scripted lines, conveyed a message far stronger than dialogue ever could. It became a testament to the artistry of understatement and the courage to defy expectation. Redford's final gesture also sparked conversations beyond cinema. Philosophers, motivational speakers, and leadership experts pointed to it as a perfect example of intentional decision-making. It illustrated that true leadership is not always about saying the right words, but about choosing the right action. The act became symbolic of how we can leave a lasting impact by trusting our instincts, even when it defies convention. For the team behind the film, the moment was unforgettable. Directors and producers described the experience as surreal, almost sacred. Cameras rolled, actors held their breath, and the silence created a tension that words could never capture. Redford had transformed a simple scene into a historic moment. It was clear that this was no ordinary ending. It was a statement, a lesson, and a gift to the audience all at once. Audiences around the world felt connected to Redford's choice. Many wrote letters, shared videos, and spoke about how it inspired them to reconsider how they approached their own lives. The story became more than Hollywood news, it became a cultural moment. It reminded people that authenticity resonates far deeper than perfection, and that courage often comes in quiet, unassuming ways. Even long after the event, the significance continued to grow. Scholars analyzed interviews, behind-the-scenes footage, and Redford's public statements. Film historians labeled it one of the most profound final acts in cinematic history. Social media continued to highlight clips, with millions sharing the moment and reflecting on what it meant. It became clear that Redford had not only ended his career but had also created a timeless lesson in artistry, integrity, and presence. Redford's decision also sent a message to future generations of actors. It encouraged them to trust their instincts, to prioritize authenticity over applause, and to understand the weight of a single choice. It reminded them that while lines may be memorized and scripts carefully crafted, the most powerful moments often arise spontaneously, through a deep understanding of the story and the audience. In the weeks that followed, talk shows, podcasts, and online forums discussed Redford's act endlessly. Critics and fans alike agreed that the decision was a defining moment in film history. It became an example of how courage, authenticity, and restraint could combine to create something timeless. Redford had achieved what few could. He left the audience with a memory that transcended dialogue, becoming part of the cultural fabric of cinema itself.